Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton, and it's time for Charter Moms Chats. And today we have a guest. We have Anthony Runfola, who is the artistic director at the Magik Theatre. I have his bio. See, the last place where you were working was in Arizona, right? Before you
That's
came to
right.
Magik Theatre. And then
I
how
just
long have you?
moved here.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
new, and you have a tremendous amount of experience from Arizona.
hmm
But I think the biggest takeaway is just can you explain to people what the artistic director does? Like, what is that role? Like, it's the
Sure.
creative side, right?
Yeah, exactly. The artistic director basically is responsible for the overall vision of the company. So the big choices that are made, like what plays we're producing, where we're producing them, how we're producing them, the casting, the creative teams. So that's the set designers, the costume designers, the lighting designers, the choreographers, people like that. So it's the artistic director's responsibility to kind of put all of that together in a cohesive um, in a cohesive way that I hope makes sense.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It brings, and then I think I share about Magic Theater a lot. Like my kids and I love going, and we've shared about it a lot in the group and on the page. And this is where I plug. Okay, so if folks watching this video, if you're not already a member of the San Antonio Charter Moms discussion group, please ask to join, because we've been our mission since March has been helping families adapt to distance learning, and we're also offering help so you can plan your summer. Even if you want to stay safe and maybe some of your options are limited. But that's what we're talking about a lot now. It's like how to have fun, and as things start to reopen. So please join the discussion group. So a lot of people already know what Magic Theater does and what you guys offer, but for the folks who are new to Magic Theater, can you explain like what's the mission, and sort of what do you do sort of during normal times?
Right. Well, the mission is to use the power of theater to create magical storytelling that activates the imagination, that grows young minds, and inspires creativity, in a way to create a love of learning. And this is all in service to creating a more literate community.
Right.
So,
That's what.
so what we do, though, right? Of course, like everything right now is evolving. So I'll talk a little bit what we have done in the past. Like I said, I'm new here. I showed up. I started in October.
Oh,
My
wow.
family moved here, and my family moved. And we pulled into town on January 1st. The kids went on spring break on March 9th, and never went back to school. So we're still figuring it all out, even personally. But what Magik has done is a season of plays at our theater in Hemisphere downtown, which is usually 5 to 6 plays, often based on adaptations of children's literature. So this past season, we did Bunnicula, which is the book series, Bunnicula, about the vampire bunny rabbit. Tiny Tim's Christmas Carol, which was a really interesting sort of like take on A Christmas Carol, but from Tiny Tim's perspective, which was so putting Tiny Tim at the center of the action rather than Scrooge. And then come in this past January, we produced a play called The Magical Piñata, which was a great celebration of tradition and storytelling, and listening to the stories of the older generation being passed down to the new. And then Dragons Love Tacos, which is a hugely popular book. It was actually on track to be Magik's highest grossing show ever in the history of the theater, and was running when we received the stay-at-home order. So we closed it there. But those are the types of things. We go into schools. We also tour into schools with shows that set up in the school, in the gym, a cafetorium. It's actors, set costumes, props in a van. They go into the school. They transform the cafeteria into a theater, more or less. We also have a really great relationship with the San Antonio Independent School District, where we provide teaching artists to their middle school classrooms. So in several schools, several middle schools in SAISD, Magik is the drama program, which is an amazing kind of very rare thing. I think we have 8 teachers in 10 classrooms, I believe, throughout the district there. And then finally, of course, we have our academy programs which are drama classes for ages 3.5 all the way up to 17 years old.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I hope that maybe people who knew about one part, like they knew about the main stage shows, but maybe they weren't aware of the academy, right? Or maybe they knew that Magik Theatre had come to their kids' school, but they didn't know that they could go to Hemisphere and see a whole
Right.
big production, right? So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, but like you said, it's all in service of education and creativity,
Yes.
right? Getting people
That's right.
to play and imagine, and right, and because you're choosing content that's related to books, it inspires people. Maybe they see the show, but then they'll get a copy of the book, and right, they sell the books in the lobby. They can have a story time at home with their
Yeah,
kids,
that's right.
and keep, build up the habits of reading, getting kids interested in books.
Yes, exactly. I think,
Yeah.
literacy is inherent in drama, right? Like you can't, in any type of drama, whether it's based on a existing material or not, So yes, it's my hope that there are plays that just make you want to go home and read a book sometimes. I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing about that people may not realize, like that even the shows that are based on children's books, but when they're staged, they're often musicals, right? And so that's a way to like it gets the audience really activated, right? The kids are
Right.
excited and they're hearing the music, and like the shows, they move really fast, so it's not like a dry experience. It's like a very
No.
exciting
Well,
experience because there's so much color, and like all right. You talked about
right.
the staging and the props and the costumes and stuff, like, so it's bright, there's action, there's color, there's singing,
Yeah.
very, very engaging.
One of my favorite adaptations is of Go Dog Go, the book Go Dog Go.
Oh.
So there is about, I think, 130-ish words in that book, right? And it's this wonderful adaptation by Allison Gregory and Stephen Dietz, who then fill in. They read it with their children, and they fill in all of the stuff in between pages. So it's a wonderful way to work. It's one of the things that just keeps me in this field, right? I love it so much because there's so much for the imagination, for the artist, right? Because all you get in Go Dog Go is dog, big dog, little dog, right? But you see them on Ferris wheels. You see them doing jobs at work. You see them, all in bed together, trying to go to sleep.
Right, or the dog
Right?
party up in the
The
tree,
dog
right?
party, and it all leads to the dog party at the end, right? So, right, it's great. So you get to kind of make up all of that, and I think that's the fun thing too that you could take away from it, is that then you go home with your families, and you can do the same thing at your house. Is what happens in between all those pictures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, well that is a great introduction to yeah, that explains in depth like what Magic Theater does normally. And then since March, like you said that Dragons of Tacos was on stage. It was having on track to have a great run, and then you had to kind of freeze that because it wasn't like the stay-at-home order. You couldn't have audiences in the theater.
Right.
So Magic Theater did some virtual options. So can you tell me like what are the virtual resources or the online resources that Magik Theatre created, and then how do families access those?
So when we got to stay at home, I think it was like my last day in the office was like March 19th, and it was wild how things, we would make a plan and then we'd get more news. Okay, that plan's not going to work. We
Right,
can't do it together. We can't do this. And
right,
so really,
right.
what it left us with, we gathered all of our actors and artists together on a Zoom call, and just said, okay, what can we do? Sort of the fastest thing we could do was just read stories, right?
Yeah,
And publishers have been great. Book publishers have been great in allowing this to happen during this time for a limited amount of
right.
time anyway. And so we kind of dove in, and our actors, began reading books and uploading them, and then we were sort of sending them all out through Facebook. Facebook right now, as far as social media goes, is kind of our hub. That's where most of our followers are. I believe that's where your group is, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Um,
Yeah, it's what families use, which I guess is why the teenagers think it's not cool. But yeah, it's where families
yeah,
are. So
that's what my daughter tells me. I'm like, just get on Facebook. She's like, no, that's for old people. So yeah, so we got on there. So we have right now we post 2 new stories a day, in the morning and in the afternoon. And then in between that, we also have on, so that's throughout the week. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have Mad Libs, musical Mad Libs, Magic Musical Mad Libs Live, which is hosted by 2 different actors each day. And it's just what it sounds like. They find a song, they pull out the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, and all of that. And you interact with the audience. So you log into the Facebook, you shoot your suggestions into the comments, and they put it together, and they sing a song at the end. So, which is also great fun because those syllables don't always match. You never know how many syllables you're going to have in a beat. Then we also have Friday nights. We have a family dance party, which is a live event, which has been really popular too. And Sunday mornings we have family yoga.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I knew about the story times. I didn't.
By one of our actors. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's a lot of content.
It is.
That's really impressive. Yeah, and that, I mean,
it's hard for me to keep track of it all at this point, actually.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay. Now one thing that and we were talking about this before we went on air is that sometimes for families it can feel almost intimidating or overwhelming to like, as like, people share links about virtual resources and there's almost a feeling of guilt of like, oh, we're not taking advantage of all the stuff that's out there. Or there's a sense of like, well, I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to do this properly at home. And
Right.
So what I've been asking, folks like you is to like give parents like a technique, how they can kind of on ramp this stuff, how they can kind of overcome their fear. Like how do they get started if they're feeling overwhelmed? I guess one thing I've been advising people is like look at our local resources because like there's a whole universe of stuff out there, but like San Antonio has great arts institutions and it can strengthen our connection to our local institutions if we're tapping into what Magik Theatre is doing because like these are the same actors that the kids have been seeing on stage and then
Right.
they're just able to see them in a different environment online.
Right.
But for parents who are intimidated about how do I use this stuff with my kids, what's your advice?
Well, the biggest thing to remember, especially with younger kids, is to just play with them. There is no trick that or anything. I think that when you're reading a story together, you're talking about what you see on the page, what's in the illustration, what do you think is going to happen next. These are all great techniques to employ. Letting them imagine a sequel or what might happen after the story, or things like that. But also kind of letting them lead a little bit, and that's what that kind of does in a way, right? You're sort of like, what can you imagine? Just kind of activating that imagination. How do you think that character feels about whatever? Those sorts of questions that kind of get them thinking critically. Really active, makes the story time a little more active.
Right.
You can do that with our stories too online. If you sit and watch it together. I know parents want a break, sometimes, but you can if you do sit and watch together, you can stop and start the video while you're watching it or whatever, or just let them watch the video and go do what you need to do. That's okay too, right? That's okay too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's great. Okay, so easy mode is put the video on, and your kids they're hearing a story,
Right.
and it's getting their minds moving. Right. But if
Right.
you can do it interactively, either with the video or sitting down with a book, ask them kind of open-ended questions.
Right.
Get the critical thinking going. Ask them kind of what's happening between the pages or after the end of the story, and let them kind of fill in those extra details.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't watch it with them, ask them afterwards. Tell me what the story was about.
Right.
That's good too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well then, yeah, I mean that makes the story like the focal point of like more social interaction because it's like it's true. We're kind of it's our family spending time together, but it helps to have like to bring in new stimuli, so we have new things to talk about besides just what's for dinner because that's what seems like what we talk about all the time.
That's right.
Food, right? Okay, so we had a question from the audience. I'm getting fancy with the video
That's
here.
great.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Becca is our group moderator at the San Antonio Charter Oaks discussion group. She is awesome. She's been sharing sharing lots of links and like keeping the discussion going. So, but she's got a question. So she says, do we know when Magik Theatre will open? I think a lot of people have been wondering. And then like when we were talking about Dragons Love Tacos, she said, I never got to see it. So, but I think we have good news for you, Becca. So
yes. Okay. So very soon, very, very soon. It's not, we're not official yet. And when it happens, it's all going to happen very quickly. But I will say that we are, I'm going into rehearsal as soon as we're done here, actually, with Dragons Love Taco, some new cast members, some returning cast members, to get the show back on its feet. So we will be open very, very soon.
That's exciting. Yeah, when I saw it.
I was going to say again, keep an eye on the Facebook page is going to be the best place to keep an eye on, right? And if you're not on our email list, it's a great time to get on our email list too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And we were talking that you have strategies in place to like so people are spread out and so everyone feels safe being at the theater again, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So for the last couple of weeks, we've been imagining like what if we are able to reopen, what will that look like? I'll give you the highlights. Basically, is that we will operate at 25% capacity, so that it's a maximum of 144 people in our theater. Our theater seats 579. So if you haven't seen a show at Magik, you know that the audience house is a very large, almost cavernous room. Previously, and it is very well ventilated. But we will be spreading. We'll be seating groups together. We'll only be seating in every other row. There will be a minimum of 3 seats between each party. So there'll be if you come with your family, there'll be 3 seats on either side of you. There'll be nobody in front of you and nobody behind you in that row. And so we'll be spread out through. We'll only be doing advance payment for tickets, so you have to get everything online, so that it's all contactless when you get to the theater. The program will be digital, and you'll receive that before you get there. Before you get to the theater, we'll come and email to you, but you'll be able to. We'll have links. We'll have ways for you to get it once you get to the theater too, with a QR code or things like that. So that's and we'll be letting folks in sort of like one at a time too. We're assigning seating, and I know that might disappoint some folks, but the way we have to space everything out, we need to make sure that
plan ahead.
we're spaced out appropriately. So folks will be seated, as they arrive, and they'll be shown to their seats by one of our ushers. At the end of the show, we'll be releasing row by row. So it's more like you're on a field trip, I guess, which is still fun. It's still fun. We won't be having like lobby meet and greets. I'm trying to figure out how to do the post-show Q&A. Still, it's hard, and that's basically a logistical question of like how we can hear each other, because again, we shouldn't be sharing microphones, which is typically how we do it. We bring a microphone out to the audience. And that's not really a good thing right now to be doing. So
I don't know, you could have them like call on their phone, right, and then put it on speakerphone.
We could maybe, right? Yeah, call up like one of those old shows, right? Call in shows. Might be kind of fun, actually. Inga, that's a good idea.
I don't know. Or there's like a walkie-talkie app. I don't know. Yeah, you mentioned some people call this number. Yeah,
exactly.
Or you could have them text their question. One of those. Have you seen those where like they'll have it at like events and
like
then,
at a conference or something?
Yeah, they're like you tweet your question and then I don't know, but although families don't have Twitter, so don't use Twitter, because like I've tried. I use Twitter for SHR moms, but it's all like media and government people. It's not. It's not family. So
no, it's not.
There's so much creativity that has to come in with these solutions, right? I mean, and so much technology, right? So trying to do things in advance, like planning out where people sit, doing the tickets in advance, like how, and I think some of these practices the technology stuff may last for a long time. Hopefully there will be a time when we are able to pack in a little closer together, but once like medicine catches up with this disease, but but I think the drive to create is still there, right? And like you and your cast and your crew want to keep sharing these stories with families and find a way you know, so that kids keep learning and people still keep having fun and have, you know, things to look forward to.
Right, and so much of it is about how we deliver it, I suppose. You know, I've been thinking a lot about how to, you know, getting out of the theater. I think
Right.
I think people feel a little better about being outdoors, doing things outdoors, and there's no reason why we can't do that. So we're looking into, you know, right next to Magic Theater downtown is a big city parking lot that has been empty most of the time since they
Right.
started, you know. And so I'm thinking, okay, can we do a show out there? Can you drive in your car, you know? And we're looking into how we can get the transmitter so you can get the sound from the show, the audio from the show on your radio in your car, just like a drive-in movie, you know. But you know, you maybe a little safer. I don't know. It might be, you know, more comfortable. So we're working on ideas like that. I'd love to. The idea that if we can do it here, that means we can do it kind of anywhere in the city where there's enough space for us to set up. So these are the ideas we're looking at. And I think these are the really important approaches to how we get through this. You know, we just have to think a little more about how we can gather and how we can deliver what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the theme of like the last few weeks of the Charter Moms chats. I've been trying to encourage parents to think in a positive way. I personally, I have a tendency to dwell on like, what will back to school be like? What would summer school be like? You know, and there's just so much unknown. And so I just had to kind of put that in a box and set it aside and just be like, look, I just don't know yet. I don't know what back to school will be like, but I can take control of the here and now, and of like, you know, what things we think about, and like putting things on the calendar that we feel safe doing, you know, whether it's like going to a state park or going visiting the grounds of the missions, things that we feel that are like educational and healthy, and that give us things to look forward to. And same thing, like we're looking at things in our home, you know, that help my kids keep learning and be creative. And I think using the virtual resources like the story time and like the magic musical Mad Libs.
Yeah.
I got it right. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, things like that, like it, you know, it livens up your day, but it
yeah,
also, I think it helps people like to stay connected with local institutions like Magic Theater. So actually, we had a question. I'm going to share it on the screen here. So how do we support Magic? Because like, I mean, you guys are still. I mean, the actors are working. They're, you know,
yeah.
they're online. They're working so hard doing story time and yoga and all
Right.
these different things. And you know, and you're not able to sell as many tickets because you can't, you know, fill the theater as much as you used to. So you
That's
know,
right.
so Magic needs support. So what can people
Yes.
do?
Well, number one, if you want to make a contribution, go to our website, magictheater.org. And remember, that's magic with a K. Here, you can see it. Let's see if I can do it. Magic with a
Yes.
K. Magic with a
Okay,
K.
I can.
Magictheater.org. Right there on our homepage, you'll see the donate button right there on the right, and hit that button, and it'll take you right to where you need to go to make a donation. Any size is helpful, any amount is helpful, and we're grateful for it. The other thing you can do is follow us on Facebook.
So is
Like, there it is.
is that where people?
Oh, wait.
Okay, I got
I
fancy with my
can't do it.
banners.
I can't do it.
Wait, I have to do it. I have to do it.
You have to do it. There you go.
Mirror image. Okay, magictheater.org. Okay.
Oh wait, I got to do it this way. Okay, Magic Theater here. You can help me. So you start it.
Okay, wait. I start.
You start.
Okay, are you ready?
Ready? I'm
Ready?
coming. There we go. And then,
Ready? Go.
wait. Oh no, I blew it. I'm fired. I'm
Should we
fired.
try
I
it one more
blew it.
time?
Where is it? Wait.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Okay, here we
It's
go.
mirror image. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait. Here we go. Magictheater.org.
Magictheater.org.
Yes, we did it.
You did it. Beautiful.
We fancy. Okay, so yeah, so donate magictheater.org, but then as I was
but
messing with the
also
technology.
follow us on Facebook, like our posts, share our posts. You know, that's so helpful also.
Yeah. Just keep people aware that Magic Theater, the actor, like y'all are still working, and there's still lots of content, and it can help you to keep your kids' imaginations active.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and then
and
go
I
ahead.
would also say, you know, we have right now we started our first online academy classes, which
Right.
we're doing right now. Our first sessions, which was new for Magic. So it was a program that we just started. You know, as it became evident we weren't going to have in-person classes anytime soon. They're very successful. They're completely sold out. There were 4 classes, all sold out. So we have since created a full schedule for the summer of academy classes online, ages 3.5 to 17. They start on June 1st. So it's Camp Showbiz online. And it's been really exciting. People have really enjoyed it so far. It's a whole new frontier for us, so we're all kind of learning together. But it's a way to keep that mission going while we can't be together.
Yeah, I think for parents, so like I'm still working. I'm at home. And the distance learning packets, and this is kind of this week my kids are doing review. Next week they're technically still in school. They're not going to have a whole lot of schoolwork. So that'll be kind of deschooling week. And then after that, it's on us as parents to find the enrichment for them. And like in a typical summer, they might be at a coding camp, or they might be at I don't know. Yeah, at Camp Showbiz, like in person. But since the in-person camps, I'm seeing some stuff, but everything's still kind of in limbo, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, we're waiting for the data. We're waiting for indications like from our city, county, state leaders about what we're allowed to do, and institutions are coming up with the guidelines and procedures about how to keep kids safe. So yes, so having things like Camp Showbiz online, then for like that part of the day, like your kids are being stimulated and they're interacting with other kids, and they're interacting with like theater teachers who are providing more stimulation and like outside role models, and just getting them away from maybe screen time. Or I mean, it's great, like part of a balanced diet, right? Have some screen time, play in the backyard, wrestle with your siblings, whatever you normally do, but but just add that something extra.
And there's 3, the way it works in the summer class is that there are 3 hours per day that you're on the screen. So there's like the full class gathering in the morning. That's sort of the warm up and what are we going to do today? And then there's one-on-one time. So every student in the class gets one-on-one time with the teaching artist at a time that is predetermined. And then a closing session with the whole class again. So in between that, there are sort of assignments for you to work on. There are crafts, any materials you need, we ship directly to your home. So everything you need comes in a box. And so it all depends. Every class is different, as far as what you're creating for the final sort of product, the culminating event. So sometimes it's rehearsing, sometimes it's going to film something, sometimes it's making a craft. Like in the Harry Potter class, you have to make your wand. With the wand. So yeah, it's really great fun. We're also looking at down the road too how we can. I'm sure we've seen all the these sort of Zoom performances that have been put together, and so we're looking at how we might be able to do that as well. I'm not sure if that'll happen this summer, but as we move into the fall, if we're still in this situation, we're exploring more options to take that a little further.
Yeah, so how to showcase performances, but do it in a way that is like virtual and spread out. I guess. Okay.
So like cool. Doing a play on Zoom,
Yeah. Or like
like this.
like some school districts are doing graduation by like each graduate has like a time slot when they go to the campus, they get their picture taken and do a short video clip, and they're going to like edit together all the video clips to make like a final graduation video, even though it was spread out over several weeks of each grade. So I don't know. This is a whole new medium. I'm interested to how it turns out. My heart goes out to the the graduates this year because they didn't get the senior year that they were expecting. So
it's a bummer. High school, college, or like going into several friends of ours, first year, freshman year in college, and you move away from home, you get out, and then. Yeah, it's
and then you get to home.
And then you got to go back home. I know.
Yeah. But I think Magik Theatre, I think you and your team should be very proud of, how you're responding to this situation and like how much content you're putting out there. And like the fact that you guys are in the building doing rehearsals this week is just amazing. So I think it should give us all hope that there's still creativity and learning going on out there, and that we'll get through this, and we'll still have culture and arts in San Antonio.
We will. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do a brief note to my readers about or listeners about tomorrow. We have a guest. Let's see, Andrew Sturbins from Basis, and he did a guest post a few weeks ago about um, how Basis charter schools adapted to virtual learning, and I'm really looking forward to that conversation. So we can talk. Most of the theme this week has been about learning at home and stuff, but I still want to check in with how schools are actually handling this, and if they have anything they can share about summer school or back to school, we'll be asking about that. So that's what's coming up tomorrow is Andrew from Basis Charter Schools. So Anthony, do you have any like closing thoughts, anything you want to carry
Just
us out with?
keep using your imaginations. That's how we're going to get through this.
Yeah, and for parents who feel intimidated, just play.
Just
Right?
play. Exactly.
Don't
Yeah.
feel pressure, just
Just
play.
play. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, good. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.